All right. So the underlying energy is the Eight of Pentacles. So this, focusing and working very diligently on making something happen. Now, it's all about concentrated effort with the Eight of Pentacles. It's really looking at, what the work is, and then focusing on working on it. Just focusing on it. Focusing. It's diligent. It's also the Apprentice card. So, I mean, only because there's some things that he's really working very diligently at, perfecting his craft. Now, when it comes to relationships, this can really indicate really focusing on what needs to be, what needs to be improved, what needs to be, well established, so that way there is something that's more stable to be, standing on. This is, a platform between you and them. The world is underneath there too. So, yeah, you're really working very hard and very concentrated on the future, on building something for the next phase. The world is showing up as there was a successful completion. I feel like there was something that was going on between you and this individual that really solidified the relationship. However, for those of you that don't have a relationship or anything, this could be that you started something new here. There's some cycle that wrapped up really in a really nice way, but not, or at least wrapped up in a way that you can walk away from it and build something new from it, because that's why you're working so diligently now. Current state of being, you have the Three of Wands. So there is a lot of work being put in right now, and really waiting and expecting some sort of return, right? I feel like there's a lot of diligent, concentrated effort. Now, in regards to the relationship, this could be that you are at a distance with you and your partner, but I'm not getting, I need one more card to indicate that. The World is a great one, but I would like to see the Six of Swords as well to kind of indicate that for me. But to really solidify that, especially in this reading, but this still could very well be a great distance because we do have the World here. It could be that they're across the country, international, or they could really just be like somewhere on the other part of the planet, or they just could be very, very well national. And they're not local, distance. So, like they're not like a 5-hour drive away. They're pretty far. But I do get the sense that there is some work that's definitely being put in, hard work, dedicated work to gain some sort of, not necessarily to gain a response, but there is expectation of some sort of return from the work that's being put in. The goal is the Three of Swords. So the Three of Swords is really showing up here to really kind of, I feel like for me, in regards to this goal energy, not talking about myself here, but really talking about how I feel about where it is. It's talking about looking at the old issues, looking at the problems that are coming up that are triggering potentially you and your partner. There could be some sort of triggers that come up, looking at old issues or looking at some situations that may have not been healed properly, but to overcome those as well. It's not just looking at them and seeing what the problem is, but it was also about really ready to overcome those old issues. Okay. And I feel like the thing that's really kind of keeping the old issues at bay, or not necessarily addressed at this time, is because of the Queen of Wands. Now, the Queen of Wands could be that this is an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius that you're dealing with, and they're kind of standing in the way. They're very, focused on something else. They could be focused on what they're doing, because you see the Queen of Wands is looking at the Three of Pentacles like, I got stuff I got to do. This person's very, very active and very, very busy. With the Queen of Wands, how is she, that's crazy. Like, how is she blocking? How is she keeping this whole, looking at, possibly because she's not very mental. Now, she's not very, logical. She's not thinking. She's not a thinking queen. A thinking queen would be the Queen of Swords, right? She's all about her thoughts. She's not about doing. She's all about thinking. She's very much about her thoughts, about her logic, about handling things, her truth, right? But this one's very action oriented. Somebody's very focused on doing things. Someone's very focused on being active. Someone's very focused on being recognized, being seen. Someone that's very focused on getting some sort of getting some sort of attraction, or manifesting right now. And this person's coming up because of the King of Swords. Like I said before, somebody's coming, either you're coming up as somebody's fire sign, or this is a fire sign, this is you. But usually you would come up as a queen, right? And the person that would be otherwise would be a knight or a king for you. So it's very interesting that this would come up, right? Because this could indicate that this person is a fire sign, but you see them as your person, as your other half, and they see you as their other half. And these two are one of the most compatible signs they can be. But the thing here is that there's a lot of, someone's very ruthless and very stubborn in their own right, and this one here is King of Swords, very stubborn, very stubborn. So these two have their own flaws to being together. Now, they're not typically a part, the king and queens that belong together, but these two can be very, very combative and very harsh with one another. Because she doesn't care, and he can be very detached in his truth and what he believes in. So that could be the old situation that's coming up, right? Addressing that there may be some things that are communicated here or talked about here that's not easy going. That's putting a rift in the relationship in some way. But at the same time, noticing that there is some solution. There is the way to communicate with each other is a lot easier. It could be a lot better. Okay, because these two can be very stubborn, and these two together, that's stubborn energy, and you're trying to work on it, and this is it's difficult, right? But somebody's making it happen. I really feel like this, you Libra, you're really having the patience to make this all work. Patience being the temperance in your best path to follow. I feel like you kind of already doing that, especially these two here are going back and forth. You still, this energy here with the Three of Wands, still putting work in. You still Eight of Pentacles, Three of Wands, still working, still waiting, still seeing what's going on, being very patient, being very observant. Yeah, the patience is on. I feel like the patient part is already there, but there is also just managing your own situation that comes out, right? Focusing on what harmony is for you, being harmonious within yourself, and then letting that project outward, because the Queen of Wands is able to do that. Whatever she puts in, implements in her lifestyle, she really gets that active going, and that's what she attracts, right? Like if she's super aggressive and super mean and super in your face and need to get this right now, she's going to attract people like that. And I feel like this is you, Libra. I'm not saying that you're doing exactly that. No, I'm saying that you project what's going on internally. So if you are at peace and you're constantly being, you're constantly working, you're manifesting currently, you're always going to get stuff that's coming to you. You're always going to get that, because that's what's going on here. That's what it looks like to me. You guys are putting out the work and really doing whatever you need to be doing. And you're starting to see the return, or you're waiting on the return to come in, because that's what you expect to come in, because you know that. You know that you're putting that energy out there. King of Swords. I feel like you know it anyway. But at the same time, if there is a bit of conflict or some old issues within yourself, it can spill into something else. It can potentially spill into something else. And that could cause, not cause a lot of conflict, but this stubbornness between these two suits here can potentially be the reason why the relationship kind of irks a little bit, because somebody's putting their effort in, really working hard, doing the best they can, being very patient, but they have their own ways of doing something. They like to do things the way they do it, and the King of Swords like to do it the way they do it. And the King of Swords doesn't know what to do all the time, or he knows what to do all the time actually, but he doesn't really care about whatever anybody does. So it's very weird. It's almost like they are very similar. Like they're very similar in how they are. That's what makes them bump heads potentially a lot more. So there may be some bumping heads in the relationship, but that is why the Temperance card could potentially come up, right? Find the harmony within yourself. So that way, because you're in a constant state of manifestation with the Queen of Wands here, even though you come up as the person's suit potentially, and this is not a guarantee or anything that you don't have. This person may not be a fire sign, but they can potentially be very, fiery in themselves, very stubborn in their own right. And this could just really just be you, right? You're just more active. You're more, focused on what to do rather than thinking about it, because, you already kind of thought it already through, right? You don't do anything without thinking it through. As far as being a Libra goes, you like to weigh those options out. And I feel like you just focus on what needs to be done now, and not really focusing on focusing and thinking about what needs to be done. You're doing it. So with you constantly being in a state of manifestation, it's possibly a really good idea to just focus on what makes you harmonious, what makes you feel pretty balanced in your situation, in your relationships. And what's beautiful, right, about this Libra here in your feelings is the Ten of Pentacles. Like, you feel very solid in your situation, in yourself, in regards to being in a relationship with this individual. There is commitment here, and it is strong. Okay? Love may be button heads, but you feel good about where you guys are. There's no doubts about that. That's why you're constantly working on it. You're constantly willing to adjust and turn things around and tweak a little bit here and there, because that's what the Eight of Pentacles does anyway. The work's still being done, but you still feel very committed. You're on point with it. You're like, okay, that's it. This is what I'm doing. This is what I love. This is who I love. What do we need to do to make this situation the best that it can potentially be? Because emotionally for you guys, you're invested. You are in it. You are not going anywhere. You are as tightly set into this relationship as you can potentially be. You're not going nowhere. And that's beautiful, right? Because this shows commitment. And I really feel like you guys feel that you are in a place of, of support at this time as well. Okay. I have no idea what these old issues are, but you feel like you've got something on under your butt, And I know I don't know why under the butt. It's like so you can sit down and be comfortable. Because the Ten of Pentacles has got you. And you got the Ten of Pentacles in your heart. And that's good. Now, your hopes and fears, you have the Fool. Now, this is starting a new beginning. This can talk about a couple of things. Now, this can talk about, right, wanting to start something new, start something fresh, really begin a new adventure with somebody, with this individual, or maybe like starting something new with anyone at this time, but whoever you have your eyes set on. Maybe you've established something in the past with an individual and you want to start something new together. However, this could also be a fear of being single, right? You don't want that to happen. Maybe there's some of you guys that are very much invested in the situation with the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords can bring up old issues. And those situations or conversations can be very sensitive and very delicate. Okay? And I don't know if that's going to make or break this heartache, but it's not heartache that's new. As you see, the part is no longer bleeding. It's been there for a while. It's pretty just melded over, healed around it. It's never properly healed. So I feel like bringing up these old issues, as a start of a new beginning, of course, is going to set something off. But at the same time, I feel like you don't want it to burn bridges or anything like that. It's going to take not jumping off a cliff, taking a risk. Okay? And I feel like you want the change. You want something new definitely happen. Something starting, something exciting, something that can really get you guys in a different direction. But I don't think you guys want it to lead to a place where you feel isolated by yourself and all alone in the new beginning. Because here with your outcome, you have the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Wands for me is very, it's a very telltale card, right? You're burdened with responsibilities. There's a burden of the relationship on your shoulders. It's hard to carry things, especially with the way he's carrying it. It's like, bro, you better break your back. You gotta be safe. You gotta be safe with that. So with the Ten of Wands, I do get this feeling though. It's like the situation does become a bit burdensome. You're working so hard. You put a lot of effort in. You really concentrate on the work. But at the same time, there's a lot on your plate. You're on your own. Sometimes maybe you feel very alone when it comes to dealing with this stuff. And it's probably what you're feeling now. You're not thinking about it. But maybe that you feel kind of like, all right, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on with this relationship. We need to figure this out. Which potentially probably breaks up old stuff, right? But there is a lot going on. All right? And I don't see this as really bad energy. Typically, the Ten of Wands and Ten of Swords are not the most ideal happily ever afters that I've been looking for. I like this Ten of Pentacles here. But there's no breakup just because you feel a burden or someone else feels burden and they let that unload on you, right? They talk about it and you're like, oh, so that's what's going on? It's not a burden that's going to make or break the relationship. Even the Fool card, when it comes up your hopes and fears, I don't think I don't think you want to do something alone or feel very isolated in the relationship, but I don't see any breakup either. Like, there's no breakup anywhere at all. Not even the Three of Swords is saying that. Okay? But I feel like, yeah, it starts to weigh in a little bit on what you're doing and how much you're doing and how much is being accomplished in the situation, but it ends the cycle. This is the ending of the cycle here. It's not going to be this way forever. It's eventually find the necessary spot to drop the burden and just keep walking, starting something new. Because the Eight of Pentacles there, you're pumping it out, and you've been through this a long way. You've been a long. Well, you got through. You potentially went through a lot with that one, right? But, this is work being done in the relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean just you. This could be that there's another person, the King of Swords here, this person that's coming in here, the person that's coming up in this reading, they're putting in work too, or focusing on work. But the relationship is really about building something that's long-term. And I feel like these two energies, King of Swords, the Queen of Wands and the King of Swords, they have their stubborn times, and it could potentially be about just figuring out what makes you guys feel very harmonious, balanced. I don't know why, but I just try to collide balance and harmonious together. Oh, healing family issues is what comes up. Wow, and it says your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. Wow. So, I don't know if it's necessarily that you guys are being affected by, your in-laws or your partner's parents or your parents potentially. But this talks about healing old issues within the relationship. Working on overcoming difficult situations that the relationship has. It's not a bad thing. It definitely can be done. But the seriousness and the working hard that's going on in this relationship is to be more harmonious together. So, no straight up conflict, but there's, two strong wills in here. Between Worlds. Oof. Wow. And Between Worlds talks about the situation that's starting anew. But at the same time, it's ending something as well. So you have the Ten of Wands here, right? And then you have the Fool. But then most importantly, the biggest, Between the World tarot card that we can kind of compare that to is the World. Where there's just that weird phase of, okay, we've done this already. We're good. We've completed it. But at the same time, we're like, okay, there's something new starting. So what are we going to do? It's like that really weird phase in between that's kind of wedged, where you're having to start something new, but at the same time still ending a cycle. So I feel like that's why there's a lot of focus in wrapping things up, right? Because you don't want to carry that with you to the next phase, starting brand new. I think that's really what's going on. Not that you feel isolated, but that you're still holding on to some of that baggage just in this little you're gonna have baggage, right? But you don't want that baggage to weigh you down on your new journey. And I feel like that's why the future is saying, or the desired outcome is the Three of Swords, to address those old issues, put them to rest finally with the Ten of Wands, so that way you can have more harmony. The best path to follow, have more harmony together through your individual right, through being each other, being yourselves rather, not being each other, but being yourselves. And the way to do that by healing the situation that you got going on here. This reading has a really interesting way of talking about this, but it's very clear about what's going on. I like that. Libra, keep going with your hard work. Okay, we see you. We see you doing it. But most importantly, it's all about the dynamic in the relationship, right? It's going to take a little bit of work between the both of you. Not just you, but the both of you. And if you have patience and balance in yourself, I feel like things will definitely even out for you guys.